A parliamentary procedure over a bid to remove Ghana's Finance Minister Adib Saani, a security and foreign policy analyst in Accra. He joins us now. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us, Adib. So the question I was asking before, unfortunately, our line broke, was where the president particularly stands on this bid to remove his finance minister, and can he resist a parliamentary process to impeach the finance minister?
Well, thank you so much. It started when all of the 137 parliamentarians from the ruling government did a news conference and stated categorically, without mincing words, that they wouldn't be able to work with the finance minister because he's lost credibility. And so they were calling on the president to do the honorable thing. Unfortunately, the president called them. There was a lot of discussions amongst themselves. And today, the same majority side from the ruling government side decided that they are not going to be part of the process any longer. Because according to them, the motion that has been presented to Parliament from the minority side adds a bit of complexity to the whole thing, because the motion talks about the conflict of interest and corrupt practices on the part of the finance minister, etc. But the majority says that this is certainly not part of what the reasons they said they were not interested in working with him again.
So
but
what were they not interested in?
Sorry?
So why were they part of this motion to try and impeach him? Why did they feel that they could not work with him again? And we'll talk about the list of allegations against him. But some of the questions that I've asked in the past is, would they as a governing party not be viewed as complicit? I mean, some of the allegations seem to point to the finance minister and those around him having benefited from the economic woes of the country, including benefiting from when loans are acquired.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is what most of us within the civil society space have issues with. The finance minister is one of the two founders of Data Bank, and they are the financial advisors to the government. Anytime government is going for any external loan or whatever it is that it has an arrangement with any entity from any part of the world that has to do with money, it is Data Bank that serves as the advisors. So what in essence it means is, the more the people are indebted, the more the finance minister becomes rich. So the loans is actually in his interest, because it is his bank that is the financial, advisors to all of these transactions. A whole lot of other complaints and allegations have been made against the deputy finance minister in the name of Charles Adib Saani, who also allegedly has his companies doing a lot of government business and all that. So this is an issue that has come up for discussion, and it's one of the reasons the minority said, no, I think it is high time he is fired for a more competent person to be at the helm of affairs. But mind you, the majority side didn't talk about the conflict of interest, etc. They only mentioned that they were not willing to work with him because he lost credibility. But today, fortunately or unfortunately, they changed their mind, with some Ghanaians feeling or thinking that they might have been convinced or forced to say no to the motion they perhaps even started in the first place.
And what would they consider a loss of credibility? And I'm just wondering about this conflict of interest aspect. Was it before or after he was chosen as finance minister, as in were his interests unknown? Because he's also been accused of fiscal recklessness that has led to the devaluation of the cedi. So were these personal policies, or were they drafted within the governing party?
Okay, so we have an economic management team which is chaired by the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. However, we have some powerful voices in government that are able to squash decisions taken by the economic management team. And a clear example is the taxes on mobile money services. The current vice president has in the past spoken vehemently against taxing mobile money because we are encouraging people to save money electronically and to resort to the use of electronic means rather than carry cash. So taxing it would defeat the purpose, okay? Unfortunately, they went behind him to, tax, and I know he wasn't happy about that. Aside that, the current finance minister, I think, is the most reckless finance minister I have ever known since the inception of the Fourth Republic in Ghana. The borrowing was so reckless. And you wouldn't believe that at a point, monies were even printed by the central bank without following due process, because for such to happen, it has to go through parliament and all that. Unfortunately, it didn't. And we had a lot of monies printed. And that is also what resulted in the depreciation of the city. And he painted a very rosy picture about the economy, giving false figures, only for us to get to know now that we are going to the IMF, because they don't have room for mediocrity. They keep telling us to go back and correct our notes. So he misled the country. And under the normal scheme of things, as a country that believes in the rule of law, accountability, etc., I wouldn't have even expected MPs to come out in their numbers to ask the president to remove him. I would have expected the president to take the initiative. Unfortunately, the president is still keeping him. And mind you also, he is related to the president. And people in Ghana feel that because of the family bonds, that is why the president is unable to remove him.
And what family bond are you speaking about? And I want to also, while you explain that, look at oversight, the misrepresentation of economic data to Parliament. So shouldn't Parliament itself take responsibility? Is it not an indictment on Parliament and its oversight role, but the governing party as well?
Well, obviously, it's an indictment because a lot of financial experts saw this coming. I remember Peter Okoche interviewed the president about 2 years ago on BBC and mentioned that a financial expert had warned that the level of borrowing is not going to help us, and will soon become debt unsustainable. Our GDP to debt ratio is not encouraging enough, and the president rubbished it. So a lot warned, but it wasn't listened to. And you see, Parliament is one of the most important institutions in Ghana. Unfortunately, parliamentarians generally attach a great deal of allegiance to their political parties to the detriment of the citizens. Yesterday, the ruling party from the party headquarters wrote a letter which was distributed to all parliamentarians to the effect that no parliamentarian should vote in favor of the motion today. They warned them, no parliamentarian, and everybody is scared. Okay, so it is not surprising, even though a lot of parliamentarians are not happy about what is going on. Just last weekend, I led a demonstration in Accra against the government and its policies. And believe it or not, I had a lot of parliamentarians from the ruling government calling to urge me on and congratulating me for even taking that initiative in the first place. So people are not happy. Their own people are not happy, but everybody is scared to talk. That is the unfortunate bit to all this.
Let's leave it there for now, but we will reconnect on this matter as those developments continue. 7 days, we've said, until that report is submitted to Parliament. Adib Saani is a security and foreign policy analyst who speaks to us from Accra in Ghana.